I know that it's fun to nerd out about all the little nuances that come as new products hit the market, but there is so much more to hiking than just gear, and that's what I'm trying to bring to this channel. 5 pieces of gear that changed the game. In this video, I want to share with you these 5 bits of kit that I've loved using over the last few years. These are things that have either been innovative when they first came out, or they've somehow changed my perspective or enabled me to do more in the mountains. We're ranging from sort of $300 down to about $30 here. And all of this gear I bought with my own money. This is not sponsored in any way. Let's get into the first one. All right, first product on the list is the Patagonia Micro Puff Hoodie. Thank you. This has to be one of the most innovative products that have come out of any brand in the last few years. Patagonia spent 10 years of development working on the insulation inside of it. So it is packable into the left pocket sleeve. Let's put it on, shall we? So this jacket really changed my whole perspective on synthetic insulation. The insulation inside of this jacket is called Plumafill, and to my understanding what they've done is really try and recreate down as closely as possible. The other thing that was really innovative about this jacket is the design of the baffles. Typically when you have a look at one of these jackets, the baffles are organized in straight lines. What's different about this one is that we have this offset, these bars, and that enables a couple of different things. It enables for a higher loft area. It enables heat to move freely within the jacket, and it uses less stitching, meaning it's a little bit lighter weight. But probably the best thing about this stitching design that I've found is that when I wash the jacket, you don't have all the synthetic insulation clumping up in one corner of the jacket. It pretty much stays where it is. You don't even need to use a tennis ball. The care for this jacket is a lot simpler and easier than your standard down jacket. But I think the primary reason this jacket was a real game changer for me was that I was able to use it in so many different situations. It's light and durable enough to be an outer layer when I'm mountaineering, and it's packable and light enough to be a major insulative layer when I'm doing something like a through hike. This has a DWR treatment around the outside, which makes it somewhat waterproof, but I'm able to wear this in many different situations, particularly when it's windy. I would consider this jacket basically windproof. I've been in some very windy conditions and I do not feel wind through this jacket. And in terms of the weight, I'm wearing a medium. This is 10.3 ounces or 293 grams. And that puts it just above the jacket that I was using before this, which was the Montbell UL Thermowrap, which comes in at 241 grams. And I would consider that not as warm as this Micro Puff hoodie. Having said that, it is about $100 more expensive and 50 grams heavier. So it really depends what your priorities are. And not only that, this jacket is made from recycled fishing nets, and it wouldn't be Patagonia if they weren't doing something as typical as that. So that's the Patagonia Micro Puff hoodie. I'm getting hot here just wearing this. Let's move on to the next thing. The second piece of gear that was a game changer for me was using a single-walled floorless tent. So my philosophy now in terms of my tent choice is really always about managing moisture. A lot of the time when I was using regular tents, I would find that there would be so much moisture building up on the inside of the tent that my things would just get completely soaked. And for me now, switching to a single walled tent that allows for plenty of ventilation, I'm able to keep a really good moisture barrier between myself and my things and the outside of the tent. And that means that I'm really able to control the moisture buildup in the tent. I don't think about tents as being something that's going to keep me warm. I've never had a problem, mentally going out into winter with a single walled tent because I don't believe that the tent is there to provide warmth. Where my warmth comes from is from my sleeping bag and the environment that I'm creating within that bag. The only downside that comes with that particular approach is that if it's, summer and in bug season where you have lots of mosquitoes, then you will need some kind of mesh. And that's why I love the tent that I have, the Liteway PyraOmm, because I can separate these two. I can bring the mesh, the single version if I'm on my own, or the double version if I'm with someone else, or I can just bring the outer shell. This is a tent that I can put up with either 1 or 2 trekking poles, and that means that I'm not having to carry any type of structural element in a tent, and that is just an extra bonus. Okay, I have to take a second and retract something that I said earlier about me paying for all of this equipment, because I forgot I actually got this tent for free. Back in 2020, this company Liteway gave me this tent and a backpack in exchange for making a couple of videos about it, and I guess that still stands.
But I just wanted to point out, this company is based in Ukraine and they're still putting out amazing equipment with everything that's going on over there. So I just wanted to make that clear, and definitely go and check out this company. They're making amazing stuff.
You know, my perspective around ultralight stuff 5 years ago as a strength coach was, you should just get stronger. Why do you have to go and spend all this money on ultralight stuff? But really, choosing to go and do that 500-mile hike across Spain really changed my perspective. You know, I went way down the rabbit hole on ultralight stuff, and that really changed my outlook, not only on hiking itself, but also on training. And I really recommend now that if you are going to be doing hiking as training, then you train heavy with a heavy backpack, and then when you actually go out and do your activity, go light. And that simple philosophy itself was a game changer for me. Okay, the third piece of gear that changed the game for me is not such a serious piece of equipment. This is kind of a gimmick actually, but really did change the game for me, especially in winter. This is a hand warmer, an electronic hand warmer. So if you're the kind of person that has cold hands a lot and you are not interested in winter hiking because your digits are freezing all the time, then this will be a game changer for you. Now, I've used other hand warmers in the past, like the chemical ones where it's like a bag and you break it and you get, you know, maybe an hour of warmth in your pockets. But this will last a lot longer than an hour. And the best thing about it serves two purposes, and that it's a hand warmer during winter and an external battery pack. So with one click of a button, it will start straight away warming your hand, and then you can adjust the temperature anywhere from 35 degrees Celsius up to 55 degrees Celsius. And honestly, it starts warming up straight away. And from what I found is that I'm using my hands a lot of the time, but after I have to take off my gloves and play with my tools, often my hands are freezing, and when I need to get back into climbing, I need more blood flow and I need to be able to feel my fingers. So it's great because it warms up so quickly. I can just hold it for about a minute and then put my gloves straight back on, and I've got full feeling in my hands. And that is very important when you're working in the vertical environment in particular, but it's also just nice when you're out on a hike to have this really nice warm hot egg in your pockets when you're hiking. Absolute game changer for me. You can see one in the link in the description. The fourth thing on my list of gear that changed the game is what's on my wrist right now. This is the Garmin Forerunner 245. But importantly, I have to include in that the chest strap heart rate monitor, which gives much more accurate data on what my heart is actually doing. So this has been really important for me, not only as a training tool, but also for hiking as well. And one thing that I said in my video that came out last week about the 9 adaptations of fitness is that many hikers are out there and not getting fitter just from their hikes because they're kind of in this black hole where they're not working hard enough to contribute to that maximum aerobic capacity, and perhaps they're not working long enough to contribute to that long endurance. And that can all be avoided by getting a little bit more interested in what's actually happening in your body when you're hiking. And the heart rate monitor is a direct feedback loop where you can see how hard you are working. And it doesn't take much research to start understanding each of those heart rate zones. And it doesn't take long for you to understand what fitness adaptations come from how hard you're working when you're hiking or training. Now, it has to be said that this isn't one of those really fully featured Garmin watches. This is probably on the lower end of Garmin's watches, especially when it comes to outdoor hiking. This is not really designed for hikers, but the reason I chose this was because of that heart rate function. And I don't really use a watch for navigation. What I do like to use for a GPS is also from Garmin, and that is the staple that a lot of hikers have now, which is the Garmin inReach Mini 2. A massive game changer has been just the advancements in technology from Garmin over the last few years. And I think really now, this is not only giving me peace of mind to be able to go out and push further, but especially just peace of mind for my family to know that I'm going to be able to text them, I'm going to be able to get in contact with them should anything happen. And for me, that's been a game changer. Okay, the final piece of gear that I wanted to talk about is something a little bit different. I really doubt that you've heard of this before because I had personally never heard of this brand and I'd never seen it. This is something that I got for Christmas, and this is a Knog Quokka head torch. Now, this is completely different to every other head torch I'd used in the past. They have completely rethought the whole idea behind the structure of the head torch. It really comes in two parts. It's this silicon outer, which really serves as the strap, and then there's this extra tiny little USB, which is the headlamp itself. This is the only head torch that I've been able to put on easily and then run fast up and down mountains and over difficult terrain without it flopping around all over the place. Like if you've used a Black Diamond Storm, for example, that has 3 or 4 batteries in the front of it and it's flopping around all over the place, you can completely forget about this thing moving around. It comes in 2 different sizes, I believe. There's a 100 lumen version. The version that I have here is the 150 lumen version, designed by Knog in Melbourne, Australia. There you go. I don't know where it's made. Anyway, that is the Quokka Run 150. If you don't know what a Quokka is, you have to Google that. The last thing I wanted to leave you with is that gear is just one small part of the whole experience of hiking. I know that it's interesting to watch these videos, they get a lot of views, but there is so much more to hiking than just gear, and that's what I'm trying to bring to this channel. I want to share with you the most important and digestible and usable information, not just about gear, but about the mind and the body and how that can help you have a much better time in the outdoors. So I'll leave you with that. Let me know what you think of it, and also let me know what you think have been the 5 biggest gear game changers for you in the comments section below. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the summit.